Alright, so this is going to be the Shiro Kuro Urban Warfare tier list of a priority who you want to level up. Now, typically I don't do tier lists. Typically I don't like tier lists because it's just telling people that you have to use these units, you can't use these units, and not everybody explains why in different situations. So I tried to break it up as much as I could. I tried to be very generous to the fact that not everybody has the same units. Maybe you didn't get some of the limited units and everything like that. And I'm also taking into account also the terrain as well. That matters, especially if you're trying to just get out your damage. So it might have some people on this list. Also for any niche usage, that's what I have. So let me go ahead and explain the tier list since this is going to be the first one. So we do have the highest priority here. This is going to be the unit that pretty much you will use every time you're doing this raid, regardless of where it's at or anything. This is somebody that you're always going to use basically because of the amount of damage that they do and everything that they're able to like pump out, right? High priority is gonna basically just be they just don't do as much as people in the highest priority. They still do a lot of damage. You know, it might be a unit that is not particularly the damage type, right? So like Shiro Kuro's Mystic, so it might be a piercing unit that's on here. You know, it's just that's basically high priority. Somewhat priority is somebody that again might be a piercing unit or a weaker mystic unit. Just somebody who it's like if you have them and that's all you have, hey, it's really good to level them up, but they're just not as great as the units above them, right? Preference is literally just somebody who is like waifu, somebody who you just want to use all the time, who is useful in this, right? So like if you like look at this and you're like, oh yo, I can actually use them, like yeah, you can. Again, they're not going to be better than the ones above them, but it is somebody that you actually can use and just won't be useless for this raid. Niche usage is literally somebody for the mechanic, right? You won't use them outside of this mechanic, honestly. So like in terms of like maxing out their skills and everything like that, like you really don't need to because it's just for this. And the bottom one is somebody that basically is just used all the time. Regardless of what content that you're doing, you're going to be used as a support or a tank, you know, so there's going to be a lot of units in there because there's some units that honestly you will see, especially if you look at your leaderboards, it will be on every single team formation for people because they just are pretty much honestly that strong that they can be used all the time. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so the first one that we have up is Aerys. She is a very high burst damage mystic user. She will provide some of the biggest numbers that you will see, but it does come at a cost of the EX, you know, skill cost. Being 6, it's honestly it's almost a risk using it, especially if you don't know how to properly use her because you need to time it right to make sure that she's fully charged. There can be times where you want to pump out a skill and you can't because like, or when the boss is basically dazed or whatever, and you can't even use Aerys because it's just the timing of everything. You just can't use her. Also, she doesn't have the terrain for this. She's only a B in urban, so she doesn't get that extra damage. So where I'm gonna put her, I'm not gonna say she's bad. She's very amazing. She pumps out a lot of damage for me, but she's gonna be on a high priority. If you have her, she's not going to be the highest because there are other blue damage units that can do more and some yellow units that can provide a little bit more for you than what she can do. Again, very high burst damage healer. I have her. The amount of crit that she provides herself and the high attack that she has is really good, but the 6 EX skill cost is what kind of puts her down a little bit. All right, next we have Izuna. Izuna is a unit who, 1, has evasion, so she's somewhat tanky. 2, she has very high attack speed. She increases her attack. Her normal or basic skill can do a high amount of damage every few seconds, just for her getting extra attack speed whenever you use her very low cost EX skill. She can pop off her normal basic skill, do a decent amount of damage, and she can dodge the enemy's attacks. She is a very strong unit for this with Shiro Kuro, and she has the extra benefit of being an S and this being urban warfare. So she is going to be on the highest priority. If you have her, use her. She is very, very strong. I promise you, she will pump out more damage than you think, because she will, one, survive. You don't have to worry about, you know, trying to heal her. You don't have to stress about her as much. She will just keep doing basic attacks, just basic attacks and basic attacks. You don't even really have to use her EX skill too much. You can wait pretty much, I think it's like 20 seconds or so to use her EX skill. So you, like, you know, you don't have to spam it to get damage out for her, because it's just a buff. Everything else is in her basic and normal skill. So the amount of damage that she provides is honestly outstanding, and she performs very well on Shiro. And then she gets the extra 20% damage bonus that just is pretty much the icing on the cake. All right, so up next we have Junko, and Junko's literally on here because she's a piercing unit. She doesn't have the damage resistance. It's pretty much flat 0. She provides high burst damage with her EX skill. Also, when she gets 20% or lower, she becomes invincible. The only problem though is why she's not any higher is because her EX skill is a cost of 5. And if you literally have anyone above her on this list, it's more of a priority to use their EX skill than hers, because hers costs so much for it to not really get that extra damage. Also, she's only a B in this, so she doesn't get literally any damage bonus for being here. But if you have her 5-star, if you have her maxed out and everything, then she's, you know, pretty much very useful. And again, leveling her is not bad, because in her own raid, she is very good. So again, she's a unit where, you know, if you level her and you have her, you can use her, but this just isn't the raid for her, basically. All right, so next we have Yuka. She's a tank that you can use. If you don't have Tsubaki or Hoshino or any other tank, and let's say you're lacking on damage, so you need to use 2 teams, you can use her. I mean, they basically give you her. She's a very good unit, so she's somebody who you will typically have leveled up for PvP or anything anyways, right? With her having her evasion, she's a great budget option to Tsubaki. She can also heal herself when behind cover, so, you know, you can use her with the other student to drop cover, which is basically going to be the second phase. I wouldn't typically use her on the first phase, only because, you know, there's not a real way to use her, but you could use her shield if she's going to get rolled over by the ball to kind of help protect her, right? So that is something you can use, or hope that the evasion pretty much allows her to dodge. But again, she's a really solid tank option, nothing that's going to shine. But if you have her leveled up, maxed out, 5-star and everything like that, then literally why not, right? So I'm going to put her, of course, down as used as always, as support a tank, because that's just what she is. All right, next we have Kotama. Yeah, she's used always as support tank. I really don't have anything else to say other than, if you have her, level her up, max out her EX skill, max out her sub skill, max out her gear. And I say max out her gear because she gives extra attack stats to everybody with the extra 8 to 10% that she gives, which helps in boosting everything else that she gives. Use her. There's literally no reason not to use her. You use her all the time. Like, she's S tier because she's used literally all the time. There is nobody else as a support that we could put over her at all, because she's that useful. All right, so up next we have Iori. Now Iori is a little bit interesting in this one, being that she's going to be a C rating in the terrain, so she gets a negative 10%. She also gets no buff being a piercing unit. She's somewhat squishy, but on the plus side, she is one of the highest single target damaging piercing units in the game. She can dodge. She has a very cheap EX skill cost. She's honestly top tier. She's used in every single piercing array that you get, and then in the Shiro Kuro Raid, she's used especially in the second phase because she can dodge the carts. So she's very, very useful. So when placing her here on the list, I'm gonna put her above Aerys for 2 reasons. Literally half the cost of Aerys, and again, Aerys is a special armor type, so Aerys can get one shot. Iori, she can survive, you know, a little bit better than Aerys, right? From just random attacks. And again, it's just Iori is really good. She just does way too much damage for just a piercing unit, and it's crazy. And it costs 3. So if you have her, if she's maxed out and everything like that, she will do more damage than a lot of these mystic damage dealers. And you will just sit there and thinking like, oh my god, what were they thinking when they made this character? Alright, so up next we have my girl Shiro, and you guys know I love her, so I'll try not to put too much of my opinion on her on this list, because I try to use her all the time. But again, she's still a really great support-ish unit. I can't put her as always as a support or a tank, because you don't always use her as a support or a tank. And she's honestly a damage dealer, even though she does provide something very nice, right? She also, with the cost recovery, if you max that out, that is pretty much top tier for whenever you do use her in content. Also, the basic skill being a crit damage defense down, so that allows your units who crit to hit harder. Also, when you max out her EX skill, it's cheaper, so you can pretty much use it to get it out of the way, or just never use it at all. Just depends on, you know, how you're managing your skills. But with the extra cost recovery, you can afford to, you know, get it out the way to get to another one, because I mean, you're just getting much more cost recovery than a normal person would. And also, she has a high amount of health. For me, where she's at level 70, she's sitting with like 37,000 HP, so she's pretty much a sub tank, and she's also defense type light. She's a B in this, so she's not really getting any minuses or pluses, so she's right at neutral, right? So I'm gonna put her, though, with everything I said, you could say preference, but I know that she's way more useful than Junko, right? And if we put her in a somewhat priority, you know, you have to think she does the crit damage resistance. So if you don't have a defense down character, that is basically your, you know, your defense down if you're critting all the time. And she gives you extra cost recovery to get to other skills, and she can also survive a lot of damage. So that's why I'm gonna put her on somewhat priority. Again, you could argue to put her down or even off the list, but I'm sorry, I've done raids with her and it's actually worked out. And it's just because of the crit damage resistance and the cost recovery. Those are what literally put her on this list and a somewhat priority, because then when you put her into a different, in her own raid, she's very, very useful for that. I've even used her for the priest raid, so she's pretty much, I mean, honestly, yeah, I guess she's been universal for me, and that's only because she's maxed out on her sub skill. And that's literally, if you have Cherno, the one thing that you need to focus on. If you saw my Cherno guide, that I said max out this skill. So this is, again, speaking more on her, because like a lot of people would say, oh my god, why would you ever put her on this list? And it's only if you have her maxed out, and and I'm assuming that if you are even using her, that her sub skill is maxed out all the way, right? And then level up her basic skill as high as you can, and that's providing extra damage. So that's all I have to say. All right, up next, so we have a interesting unit, Cheesesteak. She's literally a unit that is not used anywhere else in the game but this. She is what you would call a niche usage, because the cart that she places down can pretty much block a lot of the raid boss's damage, and for extreme, you literally need her. You do not want to take a lot of the damage that comes your way at all. But again, this is a unit that in any other situation you would never use. In PvP you don't even use her, but for specifically talking about this, she is a niche usage. You only use her literally on extreme, or if you're doing hardcore and before, and you, like, you know, you just don't have the damage, right? So I know there's a lot of new players who are joining into the game, so that's the only reason why you would use her, if you do have her. is literally to block the damage of the boss and to protect your team, right? But other than that, you don't have to use her. You don't have to level up her skills very high, if not at all. She does also decrease the boss's attack, so that helps keep your people alive. So that's literally what she's there for, is to help keep your people alive. But outside of that, she's not the one. And the other bonus that she has is she also provides on her sub-skill extra crit. So that does help, right? Because we have a lot of units here that could use that extra crit. But literally, that is it. Just for the cart, and then you'll never use her again. So we have Koharu. Koharu is, I'm already going to say it, she's going to be using a support or a tank. You're going to use her instead of Serena, pretty much. But again, if you're doing extreme, you'll still have to have a Serena, but it's just Koharu just provides so much extra healing and allowing you to pull in another support unit, which is why she's pretty much just so amazing and great. She's not going to be doing any damage though. She's an explosive unit, and also she is a D in this terrain. So, you know, she's literally just here for just the heals. I'm not going to put her over Kotama because Kotama is beast mode, but definitely putting her over Yuka. But Koharu is going to be a great unit to have. You also want to max out her HP though, because you don't want her dying to when the bombs pretty much like double stack on her, which I will talk about why some other units are here because of those bombs. But pretty much you just want to try to protect her, right? Her EX skill is low cost as well, but it provides AoE. So you know, for a few times during the fight you might actually have your units together, but typically a lot of people's units are spread out only because like just there's so much flying at you. But again, she's still a really great unit to use. Tsurugi, so she's going to be a mystic damage dealer as well, but again she's going to be special armor, so she's going to take a lot of damage, but she is very tanky, right? She buffs herself with extra attack speed. She's again another normal attacking unit, so she also has a high amount of attack just because she's up close. The only thing is though, you're gonna have to worry about healing her because she isn't up front. She's a shotgun user, right? So like she's not gonna be like Izuna, where Izuna can dodge and Izuna also has the resistance to it. She's gonna be taking a lot of damage. So you'll have to be using a lot of EX skills to heal her. So I can't put her super high really because of that. So I'm gonna put her though on a somewhat priority, only because she's mystic damage, right? You cannot use her EX skill and she can do some damage, but when you use her EX skill it buffs her damage for a certain amount of time, so it's like Izuna in a way, but not really. But she's not gonna be more useful than Cherino, only because Cherino can actually make the whole team better. Tsurugi is going to have to rely on her team for her to stay alive, and also she's not going to be really carrying you. Again, if you 5-starred her, maxed her out, and did everything like that, then like kudos to you. You were amazing. You were an Omega Whale, and you know, hats off to you. But for, you know, some of us common folk like myself, she's just not a super high priority for me to level up. Again, just somewhat, and somewhat is me being generous, honestly, because with her starting out as a 1-star, to put that much investment into her would just not really be the best for you. But if she is best girl, then and you've maxed her out and leveled her up, then she will be a higher priority on the list. So we have Tsubaki. She's gonna be a tank. I have literally nothing else to say other than the fact that she's gonna be a tank. You're gonna use her. You're gonna use her in pretty much every content that you do in the game, from PvE or PvP. So she's again a good unit to have, to max out, to 5-star, to do everything with, because you're just always gonna use her. She's broken with the amount of evasion that she has. She can heal herself. She increases her defense with the equipment that she has. That's amazing. She has the taunt. She was literally clutch for everybody in this last Kaiton raid. So yeah, she's a really good tank to have. If you don't have her, I apologize. If you haven't been able to 3, 4, or 5-star her, I apologize. But you need to focus, honestly, with some of these units, I would 5-star her quicker than everybody else because a tank is what keeps your people alive. And for doing the promotions, it also gives her extra health. And the fact that, like, you know, mine is sitting at 59,000 HP, and then I have other ways to boost her health, it's really good. And then she could get a little bit of damage off, you know, in certain situations, not too much, but you know, she's there. I'm not even gonna talk about her damage, but still, she's a very, 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 very great tank where she doesn't really need to be healed because she's evading a lot of attacks. Again, even though she's a defense type special, she can still survive. I promise you that. Because some of you who might be new be like, why would I add her? She can take a lot of extra damage. Trust me. Tsubaki will be just fine when she's leveled up. Now, if your Tsubaki's not leveled up, if she's not able to get like the tier, what is it, 4 or 5 gear, if you don't have that on her, then I probably would use another tank. But if you are one of those chosen few who have, not even few, chosen majority who have her maxed out and everything with the equipment, then you know how good Tsubaki is. All right, up next we have Sumire, a unit who, after all the summoning that I've done in this game, I still somehow don't have. I don't understand it. So all of this is just coming from just knowing the unit, obviously. I don't know anything else about her other than what I see she can do. So somebody might, you know, argue me about this, but I'm gonna put her on preference. I'm gonna put her a little higher than Junko, because if you have a Sumire leveled up, maxed out and everything like that, she can do a lot because she can dodge the carts and stuff. She's a piercing unit, but again, she's special armor, so she will take a lot of damage, and it's not like she's going to be doing a lot, but she's just somebody to have there if you have her maxed out, honestly. So and again, it's silly me putting here for some of you guys thinking, but she can dodge the carts, right? And that's all that matters. If you have some DPS that can survive, and let's say you're, you know, trying to do hardcore for your first time or extreme, you just need somebody, she is there to have if you just need a piercing unit. And again, you could argue a lot of these piercing units, but I'm only having her here because she can dodge. I'm not gonna put every piercing unit on this list. I can just go ahead and just say it over here. If you are running out of people to use for a team, then use any piercing unit that you need to get some extra damage on Shiro Kuro. Yes, there we go, I said it. But the only reason why I have her is for the dodge. Asuna, she is a very, very slept on and strong unit for this. She can dodge a lot of the attacks coming her way. She buffs her evasion, she buffs her extra attack speed, and all of that hardly cost anything, right? So she's a really great unit to use and have. Unfortunately, I don't have her maxed out in 5 stars like all the other people in my leaderboard and stuff like that, and other people who are probably watching, but she's a very good unit to have and use. Being that she can dodge, right? Being that she's missing damage, being that she has a low EX cost, I'm gonna put her in a high priority above Aerys. Because I've seen some people pump out some mad lad damage with her, especially when she's maxed out. I'm not gonna put her over Iori only because, like, in a realistic sense, Iori is still gonna be better than her in every way, which is unfortunate. But you know, Asuna's really, really good. She's gonna be above Aerys because Aerys can take a lot of damage from everything, and then, you know, Asuna can do 3 EX skills before Aerys can do 1. So, you know, there's that. You could, yeah, I mean, someone could argue with me in the comment section, but Asuna provides a lot. It's just gonna take you a little bit harder to level her up, being just her star rating that she has, but again, with the equipment that she's given and everything, she is a very, very strong unit for this. So I will stress and say, level her up if you have her. If you don't have any mystic damage, do not sleep on her. She can do a lot. I promise you, I promise you. All right, up next, we have the creme de la creme, the top, the queen of Shiro Kuro herself, Azusa. Now, the damage she can do, amazing. The unfortunate thing is that she gets negative 10% with the terrain, but that does not matter. She will honestly obliterate anything that needs mystic damage. She is amazing. She provides defense down. She has high burst. She can buff her crit damage. So she is the absolute highest priority. Regardless if Izuna is like, you know, maxed out and everything like that in the terrain buff, Azusa is still better because of the defense down that she provides, and she can just buff herself and she just hits a huge burst damage with a little bit of damage over time. Yes, if you have her and you were one of those few who could get her, kudos to you. If you maxed her out and everything like that, kudos to you. And I will be making a video about like clubs and assistant, because like if you weren't able to get her, make sure you're in a club with somebody who is a dolphin or a whale. Like, I understand having friends, but like if you're serious about this game, like, you know, think about who you have. Again, my club is open, but clubs are only 30, but I have a Discord, you know, so, but I'll make a whole nother video talking about that. But anyway, she is a unit, Azusa, who like you need to have, or you need to have friends who have her, because oh my god, is she amazing for this. So hopefully you have her leveled up and maxed out. Emi is gonna be a tank. She is a tank that can heal herself. She's defense type light, so you know she'll be able to survive. She's also oddly S rating in this, but she's not gonna be providing damage. But I'm just gonna put her here as just use always to support her tank. If you have her, that's really great. She can heal herself. She does a little bit of damage, but it's the heal that is mainly what you would use her for. If you don't have any other tank, or if you need a tank, she's a good tank to use, honestly. For PvE, she's a really amazing tank. She just hasn't had her time to shine, right? But especially also in like early PvP, she's really good. So don't sleep on her. But we're not talking about PvP. This is just for this raid. But she's just a really good unit to just have. I'm not gonna put her as a priority to level up. Again, it's just if you have her, if she's like one of your 3 stars, if you love her, she's waifu, best girl, you know, hey, kudos to you. But she's a tank that you can use. Pretty much you can use any tank in this. So that's where I put her. So the next unit is a Yana, and I'm gonna include the other units that I have on this list with this pretty much. She's a niche usage for this. Again, she's a healer, so if you don't have any other healer leveled up, she can use her. But she's here because of her sub skill with the extra HP. I've actually tested it out before. The extra HP that you get can help your DPS survive from getting double bombed or even getting hit by a cart. It's oddly very useful, but it's mainly for the first phase, right? I tested it and it was crazy. I tested it, of course, using Jury. And, you know, my Jury is like maxed out and everything, but like, it's still the sub skill. It's very useful. It's odd, but she's a unit who can help you, just with other raids too. Like, if you're trying to like get out of being one shot, the extra HP helps you out if you don't have the damage. So I'm gonna put Ayane niche usage. That's literally why I have Jury here. And then also, where is she? Utaha. They have sub skills that are extra HP, and there could be somebody else. You could probably tell me if you know more, but that is the only reason why they're here. Of course, Shizuko is literally here because she can actually block the mechanic, but they are here because they actually provide extra HP to survive the one shot. So just gonna go ahead and get all of them out the way. All right, and so for this raid, Hibiki is there for extra crit damage. She buffs crit damage, and that is why she's here. So that's all I have to say about her. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Serena, she's also, I'm just gonna put her here. She's gonna be somebody that you're gonna use for the second phase, pretty much after Koharu. Or if you don't have Koharu, you're gonna use Serena to move people out the way So that's why she's very useful for this specific raid, right? And then also every other raid, but you're always going to use her. She's just great and amazing with her low cost to help move your people out the way. She has a normal skill to also heal. So again, very great healer. All right, up next, we're going to have Cheesesteak. Now, Cheesesteak is a unit who I've been told when you actually have her leveled up, maxed out, and 5-star and everything like that, she provides a lot of damage. But in reality, not a lot of us have that. But also, she's a in this, so she gets extra 10% damage. So for this, specifically for this, I'm gonna put her in a high priority behind Aerys, because Aerys does more damage than her. But if you have her and you have her maxed out, I would argue even somewhat priority, but you will literally need Cheesesteak for the extra damage, for especially if you're doing extreme. So that's why I put her on a high priority. Because again, you do have to think and worry about the fact that for extreme, typically most of us need, 2 or 3 teams, sometimes even 4. So, Cheesesteak is somebody that you want to actually have leveled up, because this is her raid. So the damage over time helps out because you can throw it out, and then even her, I think it's like her normal and basic skills and everything like that can give her extra damage over time with her sub skill. So do level her up, and if you have her 4 or 5-star, yo, you are, hey bro, she's a best girl for you, waifu. Haruka is here because she's a tank. That's it. She's high defense. She could survive a cart hitting her because she's tanky. So she's a unit that you could throw out there and she could take damage. Again, you do have to heal her, but she can tank damage. Again, I will say it. She can tank damage. She could get hit by literally anything and everything in this raid, and she will survive it. So she's honestly a tank that I would put over any of the others. You could even argue over Tsubaki, but this is kind of a controversial thing. But if you have her maxed out 5-star and everything like that, she literally will barely need to get healed, because just the resistance from the damage, she is very, very strong. Please do not sleep on her. Just saying. So before there was S. Azusa, there was actually another unit who was the queen of this, and that is Hana. Hana does so much damage in Shiro Kuro, it's crazy. When you max out her EX skill, it drops it down to 3. She gets the extra buff from standing still. She has the extra HP whenever, you're trying to survive something. She can actually, kind of tank it a little bit. She also gets the extra 20% buff, being that this is her beneficial terrain type, right? So I'm gonna put her, although someone's gonna argue me down in the comment section, but I honestly, hey bro, we can talk about it. If I'm talking for the average player and from just everybody, here, this is a unit that I believe you could say is the very most highest priority when I think about it. She has the extra health. She has a very low cost EX skill when maxed out. She gets a buff standing still, even though she doesn't provide the defense down. She gets 20% buff. And again, this is just for the urban raid, right? This is for the urban raid. I think for this one, she's going to be at the top because she gets an extra 20% damage, whereas S. Azusa gets less. So you're talking about a 30% difference in damage. So even when S. Azusa uses her defense down, it's just gonna make Hana hit harder, right? So Hana is gonna be at the top of this. And you could say that for Izuna, you could put her above, but S. Azusa will still put out more damage than Izuna. So that's why I have it here. But yeah, Hana's gonna be your highest priority because one, not everybody has an S. Azusa. Also, you could borrow S. Azusa, but Hana, you need to have her leveled up. I hope you got her. She's a common unit, so you can just summon her anytime. But I hopefully hope and pray that you have her, level her up. If you have her 5-star, great, awesome, amazing. I unfortunately don't, but I know that she can pump out a lot of damage. So yeah, she's gonna be the best unit for this meta of the Shiro Kuro Urban, pretty much. All right, so Hana, she's gonna be a healer. You can use her. She gives extra crit damage. She's basically here if you don't have anybody else, honestly. So I'm gonna put her above the tanks because you don't really, you know, she's a healer that you can use if you just want to pump out extra damage, you know, to heal, or you can just use her for the crit damage there. That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's all. She's still used as support or a tank. She's used in various raids, especially if you don't have specific units leveled up or if you just don't have them in your roster. All right, so we have Karin here. Basically, if you are missing some units, I'm gonna put her in preference. But if you're missing some units, like if you don't have a lot of mystic damage, if you don't have the other yellow units and you're needing a support, right? Like let's say you have Koharu, you need another support to use. You don't have this unit, you don't have Hibiki, you don't have anything. You can still use her. She still will buff attack on everybody, and she can still do some single target damage. But again, it's really rare in the case that you would use her. But also if you're doing multiple teams trying to beat it, then you know you can have her there for extra damage. But that's literally the only reason why I have her here is because she's piercing, and if you have a Koharu, like there's a weird combination of units and students that you could use with multiple teams that you could say, you know, you could use Karin. And I only have her here because she buffs everyone's attack, which helps buff, you know, everyone's extra damage. So we have Hoshino. Hoshino is a tank. She can shield herself. She can protect herself from the ball and the carts and everything like that. If you're using multiple teams, she will be there for you. I will put her above Tsubaki, only because she can actually resist this and she can shield herself from taking a lot of the damage, and she does a little bit of damage, you know, herself, so that's pretty beneficial. But you know, she's not going to be topping out and beating anyone else in damage. So Akane, she's going to be somebody who is there. It's just a defense down. You can use her. She's very useful. I can't remember if people were using her for this raid or not. I feel like she was, so I'm gonna put her a little bit above Serena because I know people use her to pump out a lot of damage. Somebody will probably correct me down in the comment section about how often she's used, but that's literally she's literally a unit that people just use all the time because she can just defense down with a skill that costs 2. So yeah, she's very, very useful for you finishing content, basically. All right, so Maki's here basically for her defense down. If you don't have, you know, a mystic unit or anything like that, you can use her. I'll put her preference pretty much above Sumire, even though Sumire can dodge and everything like that. Like, but with the defense down, she can increase the little bits of mystic damage that you have. So she's can be used in that, but I'm not going to put her in any priority because I would hope that you have any of the other units above before you use her. But again, it's your preference to use her. If you have her 5-star max out and everything like that, she could probably provide decent amount of damage, especially if she does more than your blue units. That'll be very interesting, but she's only here literally because of her defense down. All right, so S Mashiro, she's not really a PvE unit. Nothing that she does really helps anybody with the extra accuracy. This boss isn't really something that's dodging a lot of stuff. You know, lowering the evasion doesn't really help. So I'm gonna put her in somewhat priority though, because she does do mystic damage. She's there if you need something extra on the support, right? If you're having to do multiple teams, if you have her. But she's gonna be probably like the lowest priority mystic damage dealer, because she just nothing she does will help you out in this raid other than just her damage. So that is literally like all I can really say about her is she's just a mystic damage dealer. But like that's it. Like it's like for another support, you it would almost be worth it to use somebody else for the extra usage. But you know, that's your preference. She's best girl. She's best girl. All right, and so last but not least, we have Shimako. She's actually just used honestly for the mechanic. That is it. She's less than Cheesesteak because Cheesesteak actually provides crit and is a mystic damage unit, and that's all I have to say about Shimako. She can block the extra damage coming your way. She provides a little extra defense, so that's nice, honestly. Honestly nice. Also, I did forget to include Fuka. So she is a unit who I would more so say is used for the niche usage. She can move everybody out of the way from the carts and the ball from Shiro. The only thing is that her EX skill costs a lot, so she's still going to be lower than everybody. I'm not going to put her as used always as a supporter or tank, because you hardly ever really use Fuka. She just, with the way that she moves everybody, it can sometimes put some people in unfavorable positions because it moves the whole team. And again, it costs 5 to do that. Also, I did forget to mention, because I know somebody in the comment section will probably say it, Uchiha can also be used for the mechanic as well. Her turrets can block the ball and also the cart, so I'll probably I'll put her a little bit higher up here, only because she can do some damage. It can block the carts, and it, you know, it can help. But like Fuka, hers just cost a lot. Of course, yes, it can heal, but her, like, you trying to move one team member, right, and using her AoE circle is just a little too large. But I just wanted to add that in because I know somebody would have said something. All right, so this next unit I'm gonna put on the tier list only because I'm pretty much predicting that she's coming out next, and I know somebody's gonna come back later and want to know or ask. And based off of what I've seen on her, just basically reading her, I don't really go off of JP. I don't look at that because everything's different there when looking at a unit. But writing Shiriko, I'm gonna put her above Chise, less than Aerys, but still high priority. Her EX skill costs 4, but it does AoE. So if it was single target, I'd feel like it'd be a little bit better. But Aerys can still pump out way more damage because of her high attack and extra crit that she gets. To where you don't even really need Aerys to always do her EX skill. I think you can do her EX skill like maybe like 2 times or 3 times that you could still pump out like way over 1 million damage, right? It's just because her EX skill literally hits like 200, almost 300k, and her basic attacks hit very hard as well, and she can do it from pretty far away, pretty much out of a lot of danger. In writing Shiriko, I haven't actually used her, so I can't judge her, you know, without seeing her. But when we get her, we will test her out, and you know, she will again move. Like I said, this is a tier list that can completely change around. Even though, like, you know, writing Shiriko has the extra damage from the terrain, I just have to see her first, right? So when I see her, we'll update it, and then we'll talk about it, right? But this pretty much concludes our tier list for Urban Shiro Kuro Raid. And so in regards to like talking about this, I will talk about it on the live stream with a lot of you guys, because I don't want you guys thinking what I say is, well, we'll talk about it, we'll vote on it and everything like that. I just wanted to make one to get it out there to let you guys know, like, oh, this is something we're gonna do, and we'll talk about the next one. We'll actually do the one for the priest raid on live stream. I just want to give you this one for you guys to kind of see how we're gonna judge all the characters, the kind of the method that I'm doing for it, and then we will on live stream pretty much create it and then upload it. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure to click the bell notification that way you guys know I live stream. We're gonna be talking a lot more about just the raids and just like leveling up characters, because like even with me having a lot of these characters, sometimes you just get lost in who you want to level up, what you need to focus on. So we'll be doing a lot of that on the live streams. I plan on doing a lot more of testing for units, because I'm finding out a lot of interesting information with different units. So I do hope that this tier list is useful to you. Use it as a guide. Again, my word is not law, but use it as a guide. Everything that I base this off of is just my own experiences with using the characters, or just from what I've seen on the characters from other people that I talk to. So again, like, you know, don't follow this completely. You know, you can take what I say with a grain of salt. But again, I've been playing Blue Archive since it's launched on global, and I've used a lot of these characters, and I've tried leveling them up, and it's coming at from like a me having a lot of 5 stars and some of these characters being 3-star that I've used. But these are pretty much the characters again that I would say I would use for Shiro, Kuro, Urban. And again, there's some other units that you could argue to put on here, and we could talk about that definitely, and I'm definitely open to talk about it. Comment down below what you guys think. And please subscribe to the channel. I'm almost over 1,300 guys. Please, I want to get to hopefully at least even 10K at the end of the year with all y'all's support. So please keep supporting the channel. You guys are all amazing. But I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. So you lucky gamers, have a good one. Lucky Lux.